Hey there, it's Aaron, and it is Thursday night, a little after 11 on September 27th. I'm just going to go ahead and show you what I've been up to as far as collecting music and whatnot since the last time I uploaded anything. Alright, so I want to start the videos off with the records, and for those of you unaware, I do work at Goodwill. I've been working there since the beginning of this year, and my job there is in the e-commerce department where I list fashion, like shoes, purses, clothing, that sort of thing. And then also, when that's all out of the way, I get to upload some records for people to purchase. So yeah, that's pretty cool. There's been some pretty cool records that have come in. In fact, some of them are so cool that I decided to put them in my own collection. So there's a couple of them. I think I may have shown one of them in a previous video. I did get my third copy of Abbey Road because I don't have a retro copy from back in the day that's, that's in any good condition. So so with the exception of that, these are the records that I've gotten. So I'm going to start with those. I'm going to try and go in order when I got them. All right, first up here is the Beatles, Let It Be. I had to bid on this one, $18 I think in the end. And yeah. Well, the next two records here are pretty cool. They're Beatles records again. Got Hard Day's Night and Help. Now, you may notice something right away. These are the UK versions of the albums, which were never released here in the US until about '87 when the Beatles albums were first released on CD. And when they were released on CD, the powers that be decided that they were going to go with the UK albums plus Magical Mystery Tour, the US version, and the Past Masters compilations. So before that, to my knowledge, these were not released on vinyl in the US, unless you got them as an import, I guess. So how were these donated to Goodwill? Somebody passed in the family. They were a record collector. I mean, I'm just making up things here. I'm just guessing. And they didn't know how much these would be worth. Once I saw these, I thought, oh, I want to get these. By surprise, the guy who does the wares management there, he was nice enough to let me get them for a $30 buy it now. So that was very nice of him. So yeah, $15 a pop for two old school records here. Not bad. As far as pressings go, Hard Day's Night, this is the first pressing. It was very dirty at first, like dust and whatnot. But I put it on the spin clean and it looks fabulous. It sounds brand new. It's really, really good. The sleeve here is flimsy, but what do you want? I mean, it's a record that's over 50 years old, so you can't do too much there. As for Help, this is a later pressing from 69 to 71 according to my research, but still very cool. Crocus, Headhunter, and Pink Floyd Metal. Two very, very different bands. Now, Crocus was not planned because it just came in one day. I looked at it. You see that? I saw it was warped. So I thought, oh, this is going to go in the trash. I mean, I'm going to have to reject it. But then, I could just put it in a lot. Somebody could just take it. But then, either way, I think it's more likely to go in the trash. And I don't want it to go in the trash. This is a good album. And my turntable can play warped records. So, yeah, I was allowed to have this for $4.99. And, yeah, this is a really good album. I really like this. Crocus are like an AC/DC type band. In fact, the singer, Mark Storms, he was in consideration to be the replacement for Bon Scott after he passed away for AC/DC, but I don't think he was ever auditioned. And then Pink Floyd, I got this one for $4.99, and I think it's a good thing that this didn't go up because the record is actually kind of not warped. It was really, when I put it on the turntable, it was like really staticky and scratchy. But I put it on the spin clean, and it actually sounded a little bit better, a little less crackly. So, it's amazing what the spin clean can do, and not that bad. So I think it's better that I took it. And then the last thing I got from them, well, for one thing, I saw an Osmonds record. Not that I took it. My mom is a big fan of Donny Osmond, so I decided to. I asked her, "We got an Osmonds record. Do you want it?" And she said, "Yeah." You're gonna transfer it for me on digital? Yeah, sure. So I did that. And then for myself, I got this. The Doors, Absolutely Live. This is the only live album that they released during their time together. There have been a bunch of live releases afterwards. up to this day, like maybe dozens and dozens, but for the longest time, this was the only one that you could get. So yeah, it's not one of the best live albums, but it's a good live album. It's a good album, and I think it's fun. I don't know if I talked anything about Record Store Day this year. Yeah, I didn't get any exclusive items, no interest in them, but I did find this, Rubber Soul. Now, I did get a copy of this before, but it was a used copy of the 2012 pressing, which I put on the turntable. I don't know if it was just me, it just didn't sound good. It just sounded way too staticky. So when I saw this, I looked at the notes here, I looked at the record label, I looked at the dead wax, and I did some research online. I found out that this is a good sounding copy of the album. And it is the UK with the UK tracking list, so that's good too. That's a plus for me. So another one here, Danny Kerwin. Hello there, big boy. Danny Kerwin, he was in Fleetwood Mac during the Peter Green years, and he stayed in the group until about 1972. He was fired, and then after that he made 3 solo albums. He passed away earlier this year in June, and he had been sick for a while, and whatever the obituaries had been saying, he had lived in a home support or for homeless shelter for men sort of deal for like a good majority of his life, which is really sad. Absolutely free and one size fits all. I got a good story about this. I got these in August when meeting up with a friend to go see it, The Big Lebowski, on the big screen again. Well, it was my first time seeing it on the big screen, but it was a whole Turner Movie Classics thing. These were both priced at $20, but I went up to the cash register at this record store that I was at, Tunes, and they said, if you follow us on Instagram, you get $10 off. Can I do that now? Yeah, go ahead. Do it on your phone. $30. These are 2. I love these albums. Love. Zappa's my favorite solo artist. I know he's technically not solo because he's got the Mothers with him, but yeah, he did most of the work, I think, right? By the end of the month, I went back to the record store, and I kind of thought about getting this one, but I didn't like it as much as those 2 that I just showed you, but I went back there. This was still there. Bongo Fury. This is the album that Frank Zappa and Captain Beefheart made together with the Mothers of Invention. This was the deal where Captain Beefheart was tied to too many contracts. He had released 2 of the worst solo albums in his career, and Frank decided to help out his buddy by having him tour with the Mothers and himself. They went on a tour, the Bongo Fury tour, and this album here is taken from 2 live dates in May of 1975, and this is the album with Muffin Man, so yeah, this is a fun album. This was found by surprise at a flea market that I've been to a number of times. There's some good stuff there, and then I found this. T-Rex, the slider. This is the follow-up to Electric Warrior. And if you know me, well, I made 2 videos about them. I love T-Rex. I love them. I think this is their second best album. It's such a great album. Yeah, the lyrics are silly, but, you know, the music's great. It's great music. Look at that. Yeah, the funny thing, when I went up to the cash register to purchase this, the woman who was taking this, she was typing in the information, she looked at the record, and she said, you know, when I was younger, I always thought this was a flower pot. Okay. I don't know how you... To me, it looks like Mark Bowen and as the Mad Hatter. But that's just me. So, all right, there was one more record I forgot. Hold on here. The soundtrack to Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. This is just wonderful. Now, this came to me by surprise because, well, all the songs in the original Power Rangers show were by a guy named Ron Wasserman, who also wrote the theme Go-Go Power Rangers, which everybody should be familiar with. But there were other songs that played during the show, and you know, Power Rangers is a big part of my childhood. For me, when I go back to it, I go back to the first 6 seasons. So that would include Mighty Morphin, which there were 3 seasons of, then Zeo, Turbo, and Space. And they all follow the Zordon timeline. If you're a Power Rangers fan, you know what I'm talking about. But it's basically, it followed all the same storyline. Then afterwards, they just did a new team after another, and then that's when I got kind of bored. But, you know, I still follow the series, and, you know, I don't watch it anymore. I just read up on it, see what it's doing. I had no idea that this had existed last year. I kept pleading for them to just re-release the music without any of the dialogue. This is not that. There's a cassette tape and CD called Mighty Morphin Power Rangers: A Rock Adventure, the album, or something like that, which I used to own on cassette, and it plays out like a radio drama with the songs, and then you hear the actors speak over the songs, which I don't like. And it's that album, but on record here. And this came out last year. Somebody put it out. I Am 8-Bit. And it's a 180 gram vinyl. And it's pretty cool here. Look at that. Isn't that cool? I'll get into some of the CDs here. I think I mentioned about The Residents. I'm getting these to review by Cherry Red Records. And these are the preserved editions of their first 4 albums, which are Meet the Residents, Third Rock and Roll, Fingerprints, and Duckstep, Buster and Glenn. You get the original album, and then a second disc filled with a lot of bonus content. If you're a big Residents fan, you're going to want to check these out. There's also a new album from them, I Am a Resident, which is the best way to describe it is they asked their fans to make cover songs of their songs. So they took those covers and they mixed them all up and mashed them up together into something different. The first disc is that experiment, and the second disc is the covers that were used. So, very interesting experiment. Worth checking out, I would say. A couple of other box sets, new albums here. Another one from Cherry Red, The Addicts, punk rock band from the UK. Their albums from 82 to 87. The Tubes, this one I bought myself, the A&M albums. It's their first 4 studio albums with the live album. Saxon, the Carrera Years, this has their first 6 studio albums and a live album. And then earlier this month, Paul McCartney, Egypt Station, his brand new solo album, his first since 2013, new. I'll end this by saying that I went to see Judas Priest and Deep Purple in concert earlier this month. September with my uncle, and he decided to do something special, and we got to sit not only in the front row, we didn't sit there for long because it was too loud for me, my ears, but the thing we got to do was we had VIP tickets, so we got to go backstage and do a meet and greet with Deep Purple. And the thing about Deep Purple meet and greets, Ian Gillan, the singer, he's not there because he just can't be seen there. And it has to do with him, you know, saving up his energy for his voice, so that's understandable. So I got 2 records signed here, and I held on to one, my uncle held on to one, and it was signed by all 4 guys. I know they're not on all the albums. Don Airey and Steve Morse are not on these 2 albums, but I said, you can sign on them if you want to. I know you didn't play on them, but you can go ahead and sign. They also signed my laminate backstage pass, which is in the closet, but here's my copy of Machine Head. They signed here. There's Ian Pacey, Roger Glover, Don Airey, and then right here in the corner is Steve Morse. Because when I said, I need you to play on this, but could you sign it? And he said, okay, I'm going to sign this really small. And he signed it small really on there, and the next record, he signed it same spot. This is the one that my uncle was holding on to, so Steve is signing it, and he looks to my uncle and says, tell Richie that that's my signature. He was obviously referring to Richie Blackmore, and I had to tell my uncle, that's the guy he replaced. Yeah, that's all from me. Nothing else to say, really. I'm doing well. I'm still writing for this website, you know, and yeah, that's about it for me. So, all right, it's close to midnight, 30 minutes till midnight, so I think I gotta go. I'll see you all later.